Gentlemen, welcome to Triple N Media. I am NIK NIKAM. This is a chapter on stocks and options trading. The focus today is Bollinger Bands. Bollinger Bands are these two bands that we can superimpose on the stock prices by making a selection from your indicators. Bollinger Bands are simply calculated by using the simple moving average of 20 periods or points and then using two standard deviation above and below the price range as the stock prices make progress. And here is the formula for calculating the upper Bollinger Band and the lower Bollinger Band. If you understand it, please explain to me below how it is done. But basically, we are interested in how Bollinger Bands can help us in following the stock prices and see where the turning points are. Does it help us to see if the market situation is overbought or oversold? That's one of the key factors. There are different shapes of the Bollinger Bands. Let me try to cover some of those. Here is a narrow band, which is called the squeeze. Then we have these wide bands, which are called the storm or the increased volatility. And as you can see, there's a big shift in the price during these volatile periods. And when we see this calm, it is very likely in the near future, the calm is going to be replaced by something different. It could be an upswing or it could be a downswing. The most valuable point that we can get from Bollinger Bands is the overbought and oversold situations. When it hits the top two standard deviation line, and that's the time when there is going to be a turn around, and that's the thing that we need to watch. And we can see this consistently every time it hits. Sometimes it can hug the line for many points before it eventually takes a turn, like as you can see here. So it doesn't tell you when it's going to take a turn, but nonetheless when it reaches this, like in this case, it just kept drifting for a while before it came. So Bollinger said this is useful in certain ways, but when it's combined with other indicators like stochastic, RSI, or MACD, then it becomes much more refined in terms of deciding whether we are in an overbought or oversold situation. We talked about the squeeze, the narrow band, and whenever you see a narrow band, you always think, okay, maybe it's time for it to go up or down. We don't know. We have to wait and see. Wide bands, of course, they talk about increased volatility. It's another example. Whenever there is a breakout above or below the narrow band, it's a major event. It's one of the mechanisms by which the stock market moves in an erratic fashion. And that's why we have to pay attention. If the Bollinger Bands are narrow, then we need to be prepared for both the upswing and possible downswing or a downward drift. So these are very key points which we can get from the Bollinger Bands. And along with that, if we add, I use slow stochastic trend lines, plus you can also use other oscillators to give you a composite picture of what is the overbought situation, what is the overbought situation, or is this an oversold situation. Here, it looked like it was an oversold situation, but it went from 320 to 312, $8 before it really took a turn to the opposite direction. But here, that's why we need to follow some of these parameters. This is 5 minutes. If you put 15 minutes, it would tell you whether the stochastics agrees with this, the changes, and whether we have reached a oversold situation. As I already said, they are not a standalone indicator. It reflects the volatility in the market stock price, and when it's combined with other different principles, it adds value to determine when a situation is overbought or oversold. But the interesting thing is, more than 90% of the prices fall within these ranges. So if we carefully follow this, we will be pretty well educated as to which direction the prices are going, because as you can see, it came and touched the lower band and then it creeped up, and this was also supported by the slow stochastic, and it went up, and along with that the slow stochastic also reached close to like 100%, then it came down. So in this way, combining different technical parameters helps us to make an intelligent decision as to what we need to do next. This may not work in every situation. They may have to be adjusted to certain stocks with low volumes or stocks which are extremely volatile by changing the formula for the standard deviation. In your software, you should be able to see whether you want to use 2 standard deviation, 3 standard deviation, or 4 standard deviation, so that you can change those. If you combine MACD and RSI or any other technical indicators of a different type, this is covering the stock prices. We can look at some other indicators like this one. MACD falls under this category to give us an idea as does a given situation represent overbought or oversold condition. Thank you so much for watching, and please do subscribe to our channel, and we will see you next time.